Part 3. The Strongest Husband of Dopo. Author, Hui Bai Xiong. Chapter 21. Return to the courtyard with Xiao Butong. Xiao Butong took out the bowls and chopsticks from the kitchen and helped Qian Chen fill a bowl with a kind smile on his face. Son. Although my father is under the same roof with you, my father is busy with work and can't be with you often. Don't be angry with your father. Xiao Buobu's personality was that of a carefree one, looking at Qian Chen, who was silent. I thought I had done something wrong, so I was talking and laughing happily. Father, you are too worried. Chen'er is proud to have a father like you. Qian Chen smiled happily, and Xiao Buobutong also nodded happily. Seeing Qian Chen drinking the soup seriously, Xiao Buobu, as an old father, felt very comfortable. I heard from my tribe that you gave a severe lesson to those young talents in the medium-sized market today. Qian Chen, who was drinking soup, suddenly heard Xiao Tongtong's words and almost coughed out. Xiao's different position in the Xiao family is that of the director of the law enforcement hall. For those matters within the clan, information from other elders naturally comes faster. Now that his words came out, Qian Chen instantly felt that the old duck soup he drank in his stomach was no longer fragrant. My father is so concerned about this matter. Could it be that there is pressure from the family? When I fought them, Nagalio kept emphasizing that I would cause an early war between the two races because of this incident. Although Qian Chen is not worried about the revenge from the Jiali family, the Xiao Buobu in front of him has been defined as a family member in Suankan's heart. Although there was no blood relationship, the other party's seriousness made Qian Chen feel very warm in his heart. Xiao Butong laughed loudly, stroked his long beard, and said with a spring breeze, "Chen'er thinks too much. It would be a shame for us Xiao family members to be bullied outside. You are able to defeat so many young talents by yourself. It's not too late for the whole family to celebrate you. What's more, you are still an elite disciple and can play a good role for those disciples. As a father, I am very happy. But Chen'er, you can rest assured. I have already applied to the clan leader to transfer 2 guards to serve as your bodyguards. This way, even if you encounter trouble, at least you will have help." Xiao Butong can do things so seriously, it seems that he really dotes on Qian Chen to the extreme. Qian Chen nodded vigorously. Although he didn't need bodyguards at all, seeing that Xiao Butong was so serious and even applied to the clan leader, he couldn't refuse. Not long after, Qian Chen drank up the old duck soup. Xiao Butong sat quietly and looked through the copy that had been sent recently, then quietly took out a letter from his arms. This letter has a faint floral fragrance, and the cover of the letter also has a faint floral pattern. Seeing Qian Chen kiss these 4 words, Qian Chen raised his head and frowned and looked directly at Xiao Butong. This is what the little girl named Nalan Yanran ordered to be delivered. Fortunately, the person who delivered the letter was very discerning and was waiting for me at the door. Otherwise, if it had fallen into the hands of others, not to mention you, kid, even if it was for my father's status in the Xiao family may be affected. Xiao Butong said very seriously. Qian Chen opened the envelope and looked at the contents. It was actually an invitation to go to Yunlin sect, and he couldn't help but feel a little confused. He handed the letter to Xiao Buobutong and saw that the content in the letter was just a few words. He then said solemnly, "It seems that your talent was reported to the Yunlin sect master by Kuzuye. Since they think so highly of you, why don't you go to Yunlin sect to gain experience?" Yunlin sect experience? Forget it, father, I am doing well in the Xiao family. After all, I don't want to leave you, right? Qian Chen explained cheerfully, which made Xiao Buobutong even more pleased. Putting his hand on Qian Chen's shoulder, he said seriously, "Silly boy, the Xiao family may be a good one in Wutan City, but you have to know how can a man be the frog in the well when his ambitions are all over the place. What's more, the resources of the Yunlin sect are not even remotely better than those of the Xiao family. If you can get Elder Ge's recommendation, then in the Yunlin sect, I believe it won't take long for my father to have a place for you. Although Xiao Butong's voice was dull, his expectations for Xianchen were obviously very high. Although Xianchen was a child picked up halfway, Xiao Butong was not stupid. For a child with such an extremely high talent to call himself father, even if he is not his biological child, he must still admit that he is his biological father. Thank you, father, for reminding me. Chener knows it well. Xianchen nodded. Xiao Bubu had already said this, so there was no need to continue. After leaving Xianchen's small courtyard, he quickly rushed back to the law enforcement hall to deal with daily tasks. It doesn't mean that going to Yunlin sect is not a good development route. Xianchen murmured to himself. Going to Yunlin sect is indeed a good development route, but for you, it is still a little early. The system's cold voice indirectly rejected Xianchen's action. In this period of time, because Xianchen offended Xiao Suner and Xiao Mei at the same time, those two girls really didn't look for him during this period of time. Every day, Xianchen pretended to pass by Xiao Suner's courtyard occasionally, but he always saw the door closed, as if the world had evaporated. I don't know how many days have passed. Xiao Yan came to knock on Suankin's courtyard door happily. Looking at Xiao Yan with a wretched look on his face, Xianchen frowned and asked, "Did you eat bee poop? You are so happy." "Brother Chen, what you said makes me feel chilled, I'm here to pay you back." Xiao Yan explained with a speechless expression that he really paid back the money Xianchen lent him in the first place. This shocked Xianchen on the spot. "Where did you get rich recently?" "Take me with you," Xianchen said cheerfully and put the money back in the ring. Xiao Yan did not answer this question, but randomly found a topic to change. Looking at Xiao Yan after leaving, Xianchen knew without thinking that it must be because the other party had already refined the foundation building spirit liquid. Although Xianchen was not disturbed by Xiao Suner and the others during this period of time, they often lurked into Suankin's house secretly. And it's an above-board viewing. Anyone else would definitely not have this method, but Xianchen is different. He has a system. In this aspect, he is a godlike existence. It seems that this kid has already been to the middle auction house. Judging from his current appearance, it is obvious that he plans to go there again. "No, I have to go there too." Xianchen said, quickly left his yard, and chose to become invisible, following Xiao Yan. Not long after, Xianchen saw Xiao Yan entering the auction house, so he followed him in quietly. As for middle auction house, it is not only the largest auction venue in Wuyutan City. At the same time, it also belongs to the Mitre family, the richest family in the Gama Empire. But among the Jiama Empire, in terms of wealth, the Mitre family is probably second to none. The Strongest Husband of Dopo. Author, Hui Bai Xiong. Chapter 22. The Mitre auction house was packed with people, almost full of people. Xianchen saw that Xiao Yan silently took out the black cloak and put it on his body and sat at the end, so he found a random seat to sit down. This auction was a relatively grand one, and almost all the three major families in Wuyutan City were present. Just because during this period of time, it was widely rumored that Middle's auction had obtained a foundation building spiritual liquid that was even more effective than the qi gathering powder. Xiao Zhan looked at Liao's uninhabited stage with a solemn expression, his brows furrowed as if he was afraid of something. But the patriarchs of the other two major families were talking calmly. "Haha, it's not common for Patriarch Xiao to come to the auction," a burly middle-aged man with a red face communicated with Xiao Zhan with a smile. But Xiao Zhan snorted coldly, obviously not intending to pay attention to him. The middle-aged man was not angry when faced with Xiao Zhan's disdain. He continued to laugh and said, "I heard that a genius disciple has appeared in your Xiao family recently. And is it different from Xiao?" "Haha, Chief Jiali's news is really well informed," Xiao Zhan said in a cold tone. He originally wanted to shut up the other party, but instead, Gialeabai followed the trend. If that's the case, have you thought about how to solve the problem of my son Galileo being beaten not long ago? Galabai's tone was no longer as calm as before. After all, his son is still recuperating at home because his arm was crippled. Wow! Look, the most beautiful woman in Wutan City, Yafei, is coming out. Yafei is mine. You are not allowed to look at it. Is she Miss Yafei? I often hear that if I can meet Miss Yafei once, I will die without regrets. But in this situation, it would be great if Miss Yafei and I could meet alone. Those who came to the auction, in addition to looking at the treasures, probably came more to see Yafei's figure at a glance. You must know the reason why Yafei was able to win the dream of countless people in Wutan City. It's not because she has an alluring face, but more because of her alluring figure. Xian Chen looked at Yafei. The woman standing on the stage was wearing a red dress, which made her look even more mature and charming. A pair of beautiful watery eyes seemed to be releasing a unique charm all the time. Her willow waist like a water snake is swaying, eye-catching, graceful and graceful. Goblin, really a goblin. Just when Xian Chen was silently sizing up Yafei, someone not far from Xian Chen suddenly let out a sigh. Although the man relied on the black cloak to hide himself, Xian Chen was able to determine with certainty that the source of the voice was definitely Xiao Yan. Haha, everyone, just last night, the auction house received a new auction item. I think everyone will be very interested. Seeing the high enthusiasm in the auction house, Yafei suddenly started to introduce with a smile. She waved her jade hand, and a jade plate was quickly brought up by an attendant. Everyone looked solemn, and almost all their eyes fell on a small white jade bottle on the plate. Miss Yafei, please continue to introduce me. It is not recommended to whet people's appetite. Another family patriarch who had been silent until now spoke dissatisfiedly. Haha, to be honest, this is a second-grade elixir. Carefully picking up the small white jade bottle with delicate hands, Yafei's charming voice made the auction house slightly quiet. After a while, the noise suddenly started. You know, on the entire Dochi continent, the most sought-after thing is nothing more than the various elixirs refined by this alchemist. This thing is called Foundation Building Spiritual Liquid. But it has been personally identified by Master Gu Ni, the second-grade alchemist of our clan. Although its medicinal effect is only effective on people below the level of fighter, you can rest assured that as for the impact of the elixir, it will never happen. Using this spiritual liquid to soak the body and practice can speed up the practice of those who are under the fighter. So, if anyone needs it, don't miss it. Her seductive red lips were slightly opened, and the sweet sound she made everyone in the room feel numb. Listening to Yafei herself speaking, the foundation building spiritual fluid was personally identified by Master Gu Ni. The original questioning voices in the venue suddenly became much quieter. Those who are able to settle in Wutan City naturally know that the Mitre family has a second-grade alchemist named Gu Ni. Looking at the entire Wutan City, even the patriarchs who were as powerful as the three major families did not dare to show any slightness when they saw him. Xian Chen silently watched the scene happen. He did not expect that just because he had been around for a few days, Xiao Yan had already made the most powerful initial development. If this situation continues, Yafei will definitely try her best to win over Xiao Yan for the sake of the family's power. Of course, this kind of situation is what Xian Chen doesn't want to see the most. Ruining any of his rights to choose a mate in Dochi continent is what Xian Chen wants to do most. This foundation building potion is rare, so it is priced at 8,000 gold coins this time. Every time the price is raised, it must not be less than 500, otherwise it will be regarded as useless. Hiss. There were a lot of gasps in the venue. Although there were many big heads participating in the auction, there were also quite a few who were just watching the fun. Of course, Yafei would not let this situation affect her mood. Her eyes fell on the patriarchs of the three major families, and the unspoken meaning was extremely obvious. 8005. Although we know it will be covered up soon, at least we participated. A big man with a bald head shouted carelessly, causing the people around him to laugh. 9000. 9005. After a while, the price of the foundation building liquid had risen to 15,000. When the price fluctuated to 18,000, the bidders' shouts became much less intense. Xiao Zhan was a little excited. When the Mitre auction house obtained the foundation building liquid, he got the news immediately. Although he knew that the two clan leaders next to him would also participate, he was still determined to get this foundation building liquid. It's only 18,000 and no one dares to follow me. Let me give you 20,000. Galibi was holding a fat orange cat in his arms. Compared with Galibi's figure, it looked really big. 20,000. Haha, Galibi, I'm not talking about you. As a big family in Wutan City, how can you afford 20,000? Opapa was sarcastic, but he still raised the price to 25,000. Galibi's facial muscles twitched hard, he glared at Opapa, and raised the price to 32,000. Although many people don't know why Galibi suddenly cares so much about this foundation building potion. But Opapa, who belongs to the three major families, is very clear that not long ago, the only son of Galibi had his arm broken. What's more, Galio's cultivation level can be improved only because Galio spent a lot of money in exchange for it. So for this time's foundation building potion, Galibi certainly hopes to be able to compete for it and give it to his son to consolidate his cultivation. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Strongest Husband of Dopo. Author, Hui Bai Xiong. Chapter 23. Prices keep rising. Everyone's eyes almost unanimously fell on Xiao Zhan. Father, will he participate? Xiao Yan muttered in his heart, although whether he participated or not had no impact on him. But if he participates, it will at least make his nose sore. 42,000. The hall fell silent. The source of this sound comes from Xiao Zhan. Galibi and Opapa were also shocked by Xiao Zhan's voice. Although this foundation building potion is certainly good, it is really not worth spending such a large price to try it out if you think about it carefully. Haha, it seems that Patriarch Xiao is determined to get this foundation building potion. I just wonder if your precious son would cry out if he knew that you, as a father, spent so much money on him. Galibi didn't intend to continue participating in the bidding, so he didn't forget to sneer. Xiao Zhan ignored the other party's provocation. Even though he was determined to win, if one of the other parties continued to call out the price, he would definitely choose to quit. Tisk tisk, 42,000 is nothing to my Oba family, so let's say 50,000. What about Chief Xiao? If you can continue to shout out the price, I, Oba, will respect you as a man. This promotion is very good. It has to be said that being able to become the leader of a clan is really not a soft persimmon that can be easily manipulated. Along with the price increase of Opapa, Yafia looked at Xiao Zhan with expectation. After all, the higher the price, the higher the gold they would get from the auction house. Haha, if you like this foundation building potion so much, Appa, then how can I, Xiao, have the nerve to bear the pain and part with you? However, what Xiao Zhan said was so true that everyone present was excited. Even Galibi, who was sitting next to him, didn't react, but when he did, he was laughing so hard that he almost shed tears. And Opapa also shot himself in the foot. He looked like he had eaten shit, not to mention how funny he was. Yafei smiled brightly, waved the small hammer in her hand, and struck the final blow. When this extremely clear voice was like a rope that seduced the soul, almost killing Opapa. I didn't expect that Patriarch Oba would be so heroic. Look at Patriarch Xiao, wouldn't you dare to fight with him if you don't have him? Haha, otherwise how can they be called the three hegemons of Wuyutan City? That's right, you don't really think they are here just for this foundation building potion, do you? Just wait, there must be a good treasure at the bottom of the box. Xiao Yan watched this scene happen the whole time. Although his father only shouted once, it was extremely exciting for him. Xian Chen watched the development of the situation indifferently. He originally thought that Xiao Zhan would continue bidding, but he chose to give up halfway. Haha, congratulations to Chief Obapa for successfully winning a bottle of foundation building potion. Of course, in order not to affect your enthusiasm, the next step is the box-pressed auction of this auction. As Yafei talked about the box-pressed auction, everyone attending the auction was staring closely. I saw Yafei accepting the jade bottle, and then waved her jade hand, and the originally bright lights on the high platform dimmed instantly. Bending slightly, this silent movement made many young and energetic young men feel short of breath. He took out a silver plate from the table that was always covered with red cloth. So he easily lifted off the red cloth on the silver plate. Real. The scroll glowed with a faint green light, obviously it was a good treasure. Yafei raised her head, scanned everyone present with her soul-stirring beautiful eyes, and then raised her voice and said, "This scroll is worth a lot from its simplicity. And we also asked people from the headquarters to come and identify it. This scroll is an advanced Qian level skill. It's called Wind Scroll Ju. Advanced Qian level. That is something that can be called a family treasure." Many families with only second-rate forces in Wuyutan City were licking their lips with excitement. After all, if you can really obtain this Wind Scroll art, you will definitely have a chance to join the ranks of the big families in Wuyutan City. Miss Yafei, this Fenghuan Ju is an advanced Qian level technique. Of course we are willing to believe what you said is true, but we don't know. Can Miss Yafei guarantee the origin of this Fenghuan Ju? A middle-aged man wearing luxurious clothes frowned and asked. He was the leader of a second-rate force in the city. Although he also hoped to get it, he was afraid of the aftermath of the incident and was a little scared. Yafei chuckled, staring at him with her beautiful eyes, making her whole body feel uncomfortable. It was only now that he fully realized that any treasure that could be brought to the auction house and participate in the bidding, which one was not carefully scrutinized. Some of the family forces around him would inevitably look at him coldly, so he lowered his head in despair and remained silent. Everyone, please rest assured that this Wind Scroll art is the final item transferred from the headquarters, so you can trust the reputation of our mitre auction house. But because the treasure is of great value, the starting price is 200,000 gold coins. You are free to increase the price each time, but if you are sure that you do not have enough strength to pay after the auction, you will be permanently blacklisted. This. Everyone was silent. Although Fenghuan Ju was good, it also indicated that it required a certain amount of financial resources. Otherwise, the consequences will definitely not be as simple as being blacklisted. 210,000. A white-haired old man shouted out the price tremblingly. Someone recognized him. He was an elder in an extremely famous adventure group in Warcraft Mountain. 230,000. Our Lone Wolf adventure group has gained some experience over the years, and we plan to try our luck. This is the leader of the group with a dragon tattoo. At this moment, he directly reported his group. It is obvious that he intends to use his own background to suppress him. His Supreme Elder was slapped hard on the face, so he had no choice but to give up. After all, although he is the Supreme Elder, the money he has to spend is not his own. 300,000, Galibi, sitting in the front row, shouted out the price again. He came here just for this Fenghuan Ju, and he had prepared enough funds. As his price appeared, those forces stopped talking. After all, their time to show off was only for a while. Because Opapa was severely cheated by Xiao Zhan in the past, he couldn't express his pain. He wanted to raise a price but couldn't. 350,000. Who dares to shout 350,000? Get out of here. When Galibi heard this strange voice, he became very violent. His whole body's momentum exploded, and he stood up instantly. He glanced around with evil eyes, but saw no one replying. Just when he was about to sit down, he felt a cold swishing on the back of his head. It always felt like there was an extremely sharp sword pressing against the back of his head. Haha, I passed by the treasure land, I thought I was just passing by, but I never imagined that I could encounter such an important treasure. Galebai, who looked nervous, didn't dare to look back, for fear that he would not be greeted by a face, but a sharp weapon. As for Xiao Zhan and Obapa, they stood up at the same time. They frowned and looked at the old man sitting in the last row, who also got up. Although the old man has gray hair, the aura he exudes from his whole body gives you the illusion of incomparable vicissitudes of life. The Strongest Husband of Dopo. Author, Hui Bai Xiong. Chapter 24. No one who can scare me, Galibi, has been born in Yutan City yet. Galebai gave the old man a vicious look in his eyes. Obviously he was not prepared to take the old man seriously. 400,000. His. The price was raised to 400,000 in one breath, and Galebai glanced at the old man coldly. Seeing that the old man did not continue to raise the price, before he could be happy, Xiao Zhan, who was sitting next to him, suddenly spoke. 450,000, Xiao Zhan looked indifferent and didn't even look at Galebai's face. He knew very well that it must be an expression uglier than eating shit. You. Galebai's eyes twitched fiercely. Although his family and the other two families are called the three major families. But his technique is only at the low level of Xian level. If you can obtain this advanced Xian level technique, then it is undoubtedly possible for their family to get more powerful development. Haha, our Xiao family also needs to grow. After all, there is no family affection at the auction, let alone you and me, Xiao Zhan said coldly, and Gali Bibi was so angry that his lungs almost exploded. 480,000, Galebai said through gritted teeth. He covered his heart, obviously suffering from internal injuries. 500,000, the old man who had not spoken before suddenly raised the price again. This sudden situation. Everyone present exclaimed. Even Xiao Zhan and Obapa couldn't help but take another look at the old man. As if wondering if the bidder was deliberately arranged by middle auction house. Don't worry, everyone, I, concubine Ya, swear by the honor of the middle family. This old man has absolutely nothing to do with our middle auction house. Yafi, I watched everything silently and smiled flatly. 550,000. Old man. Just wait for me. If you have the ability, you can shout again. I, Galebai, will never follow. Galebai's eyes were bloodshot. If it weren't for the rules of Mitres auction house, he really wanted to kill the old man on the spot. Haha, although you are the head of the clan, your mind is no different from that of a child. I just want to test whether you have confidence in this high-level mysterious treasure. So don't worry, this treasure is yours. The old man spoke calmly. So under the spotlight. Get out of the seat and walk towards the closed door. Not long after. The old man was invisible with 3 crutches and 2 crutches. Disappeared in front of Obapa's mansion. The spies who followed were all shocked. Quickly retrace your steps. Repay your master. And in the auction. Yafei raised the small hammer in her hand. With everyone watching nervously, he knocked. Congratulations to the Suanja advanced skill, Feng Juanju, which was successfully auctioned by the leader of the Jialbi clan. Watching this happen, a bright smile appeared on Xiao Yan's face. So he got up and walked out of the auction house. when he returned to the treasure room again. In those odd eyes. Waiting quietly with your head down. Xian Chen was leaning behind a tree at the moment, holding a piece of grass in his mouth. Pay attention to people coming and going. I do not know how long it has been. When that familiar figure appears. Xian Chen hurriedly avoided. Confirming Xiao Yan's departure. 2 medicine bottles made of colored glaze also appeared in Xian Chen's hands. The corners of his mouth were slightly raised. When you are familiar with the road conditions, go to the treasure appraisal room. Seeing Yafei communicating with a middle-aged man. Obviously you don't need to think about it. They must be talking about something to win over Xiao Yan. Now Xian Chen is here. That kind of wooing thing. Of course it no longer exists. This little brother is. Gu Ni looked at Xian Chen who suddenly arrived. A trace of doubt flashed in his eyes. But when he noticed that Xian Chen actually held 2 glass bottles in his hands. An extremely exciting thought suddenly surged through my heart. Haha, can't the old gentleman see what I'm here for? Xian Chen casually threw the 2 glass bottles into Gu Ni's arms. Gu Ni's face changed slightly. But still opened the caps of the 2 bottles separately. After opening both lids. Gu Ni stumbled, but fortunately Yafei supported him, otherwise he might have fallen to the ground. The 3rd grade elixir is healing pill, and the 4th grade elixir is chi enhancing powder. These are all treasures. Excuse me for being rude, but who is the young master's father? Gu Ni was so shocked that he couldn't help himself. Even incoherent. He couldn't believe it. Middle Auction House was able to get 2 surprises in a row today. It's so beautiful. And Yafei also stood there in shock. Watery eyes. Staring at Xian Chen closely. The meaning is. It's simply indescribable. My father is an elder of the Xiao family named Xiao Biubiu. Xian Chen spoke calmly. Ignore the shocked Gu Ni. Instead, his eyes always stayed on Yafei. Beautiful. Gorgeous. It's so beautiful. This is so damn enchanting. Xian Chen murmured in his heart. Yafei seemed to have noticed something, and smiled slightly, her face showing shyness. Xiao Tongbu? Could it be that young master is the one who has been making a lot of noise during this period? Gu Ni looked at Xian Chen with a puzzled look. He is an alchemist. You can guarantee it with your own life. These elixirs in your hands are definitely real. But although he didn't understand Xian Chen. But it is very clear that Xiao is different. Although Xiao Biubiu is the elder of the Xiao family. But he is just an elder. How could there be such a high-level elixir? Could it be? Gu Ni has a lot going on in his heart. After thinking about something. Everyone is in bad condition. He. Yes, this is the elixir refined by the master. But you don't need to be nervous. These pills are not for auction, but are intended to be given to Miss Yafei as a meeting gift. Meeting gift? Gu Ni was even more shocked. His body shook, and he looked at Yafei who looked confused, but he was very envious. Even he is also an alchemist. Is that master in Wuyuan City now? Master, are you willing to introduce me to me? I have a great gift for you. Gu Ni made his own little calculation. In his known memory, there is no one who can refine this level of elixir. Only Dan Wang Furukawa. I heard Xian Chen say it was a meeting gift for him. The tips of Yafei's ears turned red. She is still so beautiful, charming, and in perfect shape. Every move is full of temptation. It seems to be able to sink people into it. Yafei looked at a loss. Gu Ni coughed lightly. This finally attracted Xian Chen's attention back to him. What did you say? Xian Chen said with a smile on his face, but his eyes were always on Yafei. This kind of look that seems to be able to see through everything. Just let Yafei feel. Even if I am wearing a cheongsam. But in Suankin's eyes, it was as if he was not wearing any clothes. This feeling of immense shame. Ling Yafei was a little unsteady on her feet. Yafei, who has a dry mouth and tongue. I had to turn my back quickly. It's better not to turn around. Once you turn around, I feel it again. There seems to be a pair of greedy eyes behind it. Staring closely. Young master, Gu and I moved awkwardly. My master is not here, but can I invite Miss Yafei to be alone for a while? This. Yafei's delicate body trembled. Her face could not be redder. I really can't wait. Find a place to hide immediately. The Strongest Husband of Dopo. Author, Hui Bai Xiong. Chapter 25. Gu and I was silent. Suddenly Yafei was invited to be in the same room. This is really difficult for him to decide. Even though he is the chief alchemist of Mitre Auction House. But considering Yafei's noble status, he, as an elder, cannot make a casual decision. If there's any difficulty, forget it. I, Xian Chen, don't like to force others into trouble. Xian Chen spoke calmly, his calm face was surprising. Being able to remain calm in front of a peerless beauty really piqued Yafei's interest. Of course you can, but the young master first goes to the private room next door to wait for me. Yafei's beautiful smile, her autumn eyes are haunting. Under Gu and I's arrangement, Xian Chen walked into a relatively nice private room. Sitting in the private room, looking at the surrounding furnishings. You don't need to think about it to know that it must be Yafei's boudoir. His eyes finally landed on the wooden chair. Looking at the wooden chair, there were still some fallen clothes. Xian Chen slowly stood up and mentioned it. Is this underwear? Xian Chen's old face turned red. At this moment, the door was pushed open from outside. A beautiful woman stepped into the room with a shy look on her face. But after she saw the scene in the room clearly, she immediately screamed. Xian Chen reacted, hurriedly hugged the opponent's waist, raised his foot and kicked, closing the door tightly. Mister, I didn't expect you to have such a hobby. Yafei looked shy and couldn't believe that Xian Chen, who seemed cold, was actually bored and ashamed inside. Looking at Yafei's beautiful eyes, there was a hint of respect. The corners of Suankin's lips raised and he said calmly, Yafei, are you ready? You know, I don't like forcing things on others. Yafei lowered her head. Unable to look directly at the pair from Xian Chen. A look that seemed to be able to burn everything. Yafei blinked her beautiful eyes. Due to her height, Xian Chen could see her clearly. He leaned slightly behind him and began to take off his cheongsam. Sir, if you can promise that you will only love me for the rest of your life, concubine Ya is willing. Haha, what is Miss Yafei thinking? I just want to discuss with you what you think of that guy Xiao Yan. Yafei's back was turned to Xian Chen, and her figure could be seen clearly, which made Xian Chen's mouth go dry. Yafei realized what she was doing, hurriedly put on her cheongsam again, poured a glass of water with a look of shame on her face, and drank it all in one gulp. Hoo. Yafei kept taking a deep breath. The constantly rising and falling cheongsam is exactly what Xian Chen wants. Xiao Yan. He is the third young master of the Xiao family, and you, sir, are also in the Xiao family. Don't you know better than me? Yafei looked evasive. She has always ranked first in Wutan City for her beauty. Also, in the entire Wutan City, she deserves to be the most beautiful woman. But Yafei is still a woman after all. What's more, he is still alone. After she decided to dedicate herself to Xian Chen and was able to get Xian Chen's support. Whatever image you have, it's all a lie. She came to Wutan City to avoid harassment within the family. But it's different now. Once she can get Xian Chen's support, she will be the big shot behind Xian Chen. He will naturally support her. By then, she can have sole power in the middle family. I think Miss Yafei hasn't thought about it yet. When you think about it, you can send someone to the Xiao family to inform me. Xian Chen looked away from Yafei, then opened the door and left. This simple action made Yafei's heart tremble slightly, and her beautiful eyes suddenly turned red. Master! Yafei hurriedly rushed out of the private room, but Xian Chen's figure was already gone. Well. Gu Ni, who was waiting quietly at the door, had an extremely clear palm print on his face. Uncle Gu Ni. What's wrong with your face? Yafei noticed the slap mark on Gu Ni's face. He was confused just now, but suddenly a bad premonition came into his heart. He glanced at Gu Ni coldly and thought to himself, I didn't expect Gu Ni to be such a duplicitous person. Ahem, it's nothing, it's just that my face happened to touch Mr. Suankin's hand. Gu Ni explained awkwardly, how could he still have the nerve to continue communicating with Yafei? Old pervert. Yafei murmured and returned to the room to calm down quietly. Leaving middle auction house, Xian Chen walked back to Xiao's house as if nothing had happened. Along the way, I would occasionally meet disciples of the same clan. But their eyes were full of awe. During this period of time, Xian Chen stayed in his small courtyard and did not go out. In the near future, the Xiao family will also hold a coming-of-age ceremony. This is a very grand day for the entire Xiao family. Of course, Xian Chen was not interested. He only cares about why Xiao Suner hasn't come to him yet. It seems like she's really angry. Xian Chen got up from the bed, put on decent clothes, and walked to the courtyard. At this moment, he noticed a black shadow flashing past the courtyard door. Xian Chen frowned and hurried to the door and opened it instantly. Sister Suner. Xian Chen looked at the familiar back and exclaimed. And the pretty girl stood there stunned for a long moment before slowly coming back to her senses. I'm not your sister Suner, my name is Xiao Mei'er. Xian Chen, I didn't expect that in your heart, I am really not as good as her. Xiao Meier's eyes were red and she looked at the young man she had been thinking about day and night. The moment they met, he was still thinking about others, and his mentality suddenly collapsed. Mei'er. Xian Chen was stunned for a moment. Seeing that the other party was about to run away, he immediately rushed forward. He grabbed the other person's arm that was trying to break free and said angrily, "What are you thinking, little girl? I've said before, my love for you is only based on family affection." Xian Chen explained seriously, but Xiao Mei raised her palm that wanted to slap Xian Chen's face, and then slapped it down reluctantly. Okay, this is what you said, Xiao Meier said coldly, then raised her leg to kick out. Xian Chen hurriedly got out of the way and couldn't help but want to laugh when he saw Xiao Mei running away. Yo yo yo, is this acting? It's really exciting, isn't it? Listening to the girl's clear voice, Xian Chen raised his eyebrows. I only saw a girl carrying snacks, watching the scene with a smile. Sister Suner. Xian Chen was slightly startled. He did not expect that Xiao Suner would appear at this time. Fortunately, he didn't do anything outrageous to Xiao Meier. Otherwise, this is really something that even if you jump into hell, you won't be able to clean it up. N.A. Suner is not a fussy girl. Xiao Suner stood on tiptoes and handed the snacks in her hand to Xian Chen. Wow! The sound of falling leaves? Under the refraction of sunlight. The beautiful picture of a girl and a boy embracing each other is deeply engraved here. I'm sorry Suner, I shouldn't have done that, I should apologize to you. Stop. What is brother Xian Chen talking about? Suner doesn't seem to understand. But, does brother Xian Chen plan to just hold Suner without entering the room? Good. Xian Chen, with a dry mouth and blurred eyes, walked into his small courtyard with Sister Suner in his arms. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Strongest Husband of Dopo. Author, Hui Bai Xiong. Chapter 26. Inside the house. Looking at these snacks, Xianchen did not open them. Instead, he reached out and stroked Sister Suner's black hair. Sister Suner, Xianchen said lovingly, looking at Sister Suner with doting eyes. This kind of beautiful time only belongs to two people. How I want to stay deeply in this moment. What's wrong, brother Xianchen? Sister Suner raised her head. When he saw Xianchen's smile, he lowered his head shyly. During this period, I often went to your door, did you know? The corners of Suanken's mouth rose. The originally clear sky was suddenly filled with lightning and thunder. These thunderous sounds. Sister Suner was so shocked that her delicate body trembled. Brother Xianchen, I'm afraid. Xiao Suner buried her head in Xianchen's arms. Looking out at the sky that is about to rain. Xianchen knew that it was because of his existence that the rules of Doqi continent were changing slightly. Damn it! It's already dark. I just washed my clothes. I thought the weather was nice. How can I wear this? Hold the grass. You figured it out? I've hummed it all. If you're still in the mood to quarrel, go home quickly. The voices of many complaining disciples could be heard outside the courtyard. Although the weather was bad, Xianchen was very happy. As a result, Sister Suner will not be able to return home. Don't be afraid of Sister Suner, brother Xianchen will protect you. Xianchen smiled happily and closed all the doors and windows. Xiao Suner was left sitting on the bed. Xianchen took off his outer robe, and while Xiao Suner looked confused, he opened the quilt and lay down in it. Brother Xianchen, what are you doing? Xiao Suner turned her head, not daring to look at Xianchen lying on the bed. Sleep, what else can you do? Besides, it's already this hour. If you don't rest, why don't you go out in the yard to get wet in the rain? This. Listening to Xianchen's slightly joking words. Sister Suner's big, watery eyes blinked, and she just pursed her small mouth and smiled slightly. However, those willow eyebrows that quietly curved into beautiful crescents revealed the joy in the girl's heart. Qiu Shui's eyes were filled with a bit of joy, and Suner raised her delicate chin slightly as she looked at the young man lying on the bed. Then, isn't brother Xianchen afraid that Suner is a bad person? Sister Suner smiled sweetly, and her delicate little face had an inexplicable charm. Seeing that the other party was interested, Xianchen took off his shirt and winked at Xiao Suner. Suner's pretty little face blushed slightly, and Suner quickly looked away, pursed her lips and smiled, Brother Xianchen, how are you? Suner won't play with you anymore. With that said, Sister Suner walked to the door. It's raining outside. Why don't you go back? If you can't, I'll give you my bed. Seeing that Sister Suner actually wanted to leave, Xianchen couldn't help but worry. Humph. Brother Xianchen, do you think Suner didn't see the umbrella hanging on the wall? Umbrella? Where did you get the umbrella? Goodbye, Brother Xianchen. As he said that, he heard the door being closed from the outside. In the small courtyard, the footsteps of Sister Suner leaving could also be heard. Xianchen sat up, and when he saw the duck with its mouth, it flew away. Not long after Sister Suner left, footsteps sounded again in the courtyard. Why is Sister Suner back again? Xianchen smiled cheerfully. But when he saw who it was, he was stunned. Father! Xianchen looked at Xiao Butong in confusion. Thinking of what I shouted earlier. Then I thought that I was not wearing any clothes. I wish I could jump into the quilt right then and there. Oh, Chen'er. As a father, I thought it was enough for you to have Nalan Yan Ran. Then I can't even imagine that Miss Suner. You want to touch? Xiao Butong's face looked a little ugly. He somewhat regretted accepting Xian Chen as his son. After all, if this kind of thing spreads out, it will really embarrass him. They are both still children. I promise to be a father and give each other a little distance. Xiao Butong said and put a letter on the table. Father. Xian Chen looked at the letter and was shocked. He shouted immediately, only to find that Xiao Butong had left. Just when Xiao Butong stepped out of the room, he turned around and looked at Xian Chen and said solemnly, Chen you are still young, so don't focus on the love between your children. Remember, in martial arts, the strong are respected. Leaving these words, Xiao Butong left without looking back. Although Xiao Butong did not hold an umbrella, his robe was not wet by the umbrella. The thin gauze of Do Chi quietly emerges. This is the simplest way to recognize the great Do master. After watching Xiao Butong leave, Xian Chen remembered the letter sent by the other party. Looking at the envelope that belonged to Nalan Yan Ran. So he tore open the seal and took out the letter. See you outside the city in 3 days. Xian Chen murmured to himself, he did not expect that Nalan Yan Ran would come looking for him 3 days later. Put the letter on the candle and light it, watch it burn quietly, then prepare to close the door and go back to bed. Brother Chen. Xiao Yan's voice suddenly sounded. Xian Chen frowned. This really meant that he could either ignore it or attack with the whole army. Brother Yan, is it okay for you to come to me so late? Seeing Xiao Yan running towards him holding an umbrella, Xian Chen hurriedly welcomed him in. Fortunately, the letter sent by Nalan Yan Ran happened to be completely burned, otherwise, if Xiao Yan saw it, it would really be enough to hit him. Your cultivation level. Xian Chen was slightly surprised. He didn't expect that Xiao Yan had been practicing secretly during this period of time. Due to the increase in cultivation, Xiao Yan's originally thin figure also underwent earth-shaking changes. He, Brother Chen saw it? Xiao Yan laughed obscenely, took out the fragrant roast chicken and wine from the storage ring, and placed them on the table. Why did you think of coming to me if you weren't resting in your room this late at night? Xian Chen said happily, looking at these late-night snacks, he had to say that Xiao Yan really knew how to behave. Isn't this what I am now without Brother Chen lending me money, and without Brother Yan? Come on, Brother Chen, let's drink and drink. Xiao Yan opened the wine jar, filled it with wine and handed it to Xian Chen. Seeing him so happy, Xian Chen couldn't refuse. He took the glass and drank it in one gulp. The wine on Do Chi continent is much stronger than the artificial beer I drank in China. Not only does it taste good, but it also gives you a warm feeling when you drink it. I don't go to the small shabby courtyard for anything. Isn't it because I have no money again? Xian Chen spoke teasingly. Xiao Yan's handsome face turned red with embarrassment, and he pulled off the chicken legs and handed them to Xian Chen. Brother Chen, to be honest, you also know that I like Sister Suner, but I don't know what happened recently. I feel like Sister Suner has changed. Sister Suner. Xian Chen was stunned for a moment, but then he smiled again. Brother Yan, you have to be clear, you are a human being, and Sister Suner is also a human being. Since everyone is human, then people will change. Perhaps she didn't understand the distance between men and women at first, but now that she has grown up, she suddenly understands. Xian Chen's serious face and nonsense really made Xiao Yan stunned for a while. Although the words are a bit rough, the truth is really that truth. The Strongest Husband of Dopo. Author, Hui Bai Xiong. Chapter 27. According to what Brother Chen means, Sister Suner and I have no chance. This shouldn't be the case. She and I were childhood sweethearts. We've been good friends since childhood. It's impossible to say that you don't like it just because you don't like it, right? Xiao Yan took a sip from his wine glass and became a little excited. Perhaps it was really influenced by Xian Chen's explanation. Ignoring his rebuttal, Xian Chen drank and watched quietly. Then Brother Chen, do you have any solution to this kind of thing? You also know that I really like Sister Suner. Xiao Yan sincerely asked for help. But Xian Chen stood up directly and walked to the door. Sorry Brother Yan. Maybe I can help you with other things, but things like this are about feelings. With all due respect, nothing can be done. The cold expression, coupled with the thunderstorm night, is really enough to make people despair. Xiao Yan sighed deeply, as if he was unwilling to let Sister Suner leave him like this. Brother Chen, I will work hard to practice. I believe that Sister Suner will come back to me one day. Xiao Yan seemed to have grown up suddenly. When he passed by Xian Chen, he did not forget to leave a provocative word. Haha, are you here to provoke me? Looking at Xiao Yan who was holding the wine bottle and taking a sip or two, Xian Chen felt dumbfounded. Although Xiao Yan gave him a pretty good impression. But Xian Chen really might not be able to do something like handing over Suna's sister. After making sure that no one would come again, Xian Chen closed the courtyard door tightly. After walking to the room, he lay back on the bed to rest. In the dream, he saw wings growing on Xiao Yan's back, while his hands were holding two flames, attacking himself. When Xian Chen opened his eyes again, it was already the next day. After the baptism of rain last night, the whole air, they are all filled with the breath of nature. Opening the courtyard door, Xian Chen prepared to look for Xiao Suner as always, but when he passed by Xiao Yan's courtyard gate, but there seemed to be the sound of broken porcelain in the courtyard. This kid is practicing secretly again, Xian Chen said disdainfully. So instead of looking for Xiao Suner, he turned around and prepared to take a look on the street. The streets are still so bustling. Small businessmen and vendors are trying their best to offer low prices, hoping to make the first pot of gold after the rain has passed and the weather has cleared. Boss, isn't that Xian Chen? In the private room by the window on the second floor of the tavern, a young man from a certain small family. His eyes fell on Xian Chen walking on the street. And the young man he calls the boss is naturally Galio, who was beaten violently by Xian Chen on the street. Hearing the two words Xian Chen, it was like it could make Galio's secret disease hurt. Stand up from your chair. Galio looked at Xian Chen who was walking on the street with a cannibalistic look. Xian Chen raised his head and looked toward the window. Galio and the others hurriedly backed away, fearing that Xian Chen would discover that they were here if they didn't pay attention. Galio took a deep breath and said with lingering fear, "This guy is not a good person. I checked it out. Despite his young age, he is a famous 3-star fighter. 3-star fighter. Damn it! Why are the geniuses all in the Xiao family?" Galio roared angrily. What? Can the Xiao family only produce trash? A female voice sounded, and Galio frowned, worried that there was no one to vent to. But when he saw the other person, who turned out to be a beautiful woman wearing a set of college clothes, Galio froze on the spot. The beautiful woman rested her hand on the wooden pillar casually. At her waist is a long sword. She is quite tall, and the most eye-catching thing is her long, round, and slender legs. These sexy long legs. Even the city called Quanwutan, the concubine that all young people dream about, has never been able to achieve it. Xiao Yu. Staring at the tall beauty, Galio frowned. Galio can be called the #1 scumbag in Wutan City. It's not unreasonable. Any girl who can catch his eye, he will get it at all costs, even if it means using any means. But, it was time for him to meet the girl carrying a sword in his eyes. He was once so arrogant. That's the first time I've been cut in half. Boss, didn't Xiao Yu go to Canaan College? Why did he suddenly come back? The young talent following him asked timidly. How the hell do I know? Galio's face was ashen. Although Xiao Yu is also called a beauty, she likes kendo very much. Faced with such a terrifying woman who could explode at any time and at any time, Galio was of course unable to escape before it was too late. Hey, Galio. I thought that after all these years of not seeing you, you would have gained some brains, but it turns out that you are still the same as before. It seems that I have to give you some punishment. Xiao Yu held the hilt of the sword tightly with her hand, just as she was about to draw it out and strike at Galio. Suddenly a figure flashed past. Cold. The crisp sound of fencing. Xiao Yu's delicate face changed slightly. Looking at the strange young man in front of him, he looked angry. Who are you? How dare you stop me? Xiao Yu asked coldly. But Xian Chen was not in a hurry to answer. The tips of her eyebrows were raised slightly, and her eyes swept over Xiao Yu's plump breasts that were covered by the lavender uniform. There are 3 gold stars painted there, which represent Xiao Yu's current strength, a 3-star fighter. Where are you looking, kid? Xiao Yu's already livid face turned even colder. Sorry, I didn't mean to stop you. It's just that what I want to remind you is that there is a guy standing behind you who can kill you on the spot. What? Although Xiao Yu was a sword cultivator, he turned around sharply when he heard Xian Chen's reminder. When he saw that the other party turned out to be a middle-aged man with great fighting master training, Xiao Yu's face became extremely ugly. Xian Chen could tell from the trembling of her delicate body that Xiao Yu was afraid. Father! Why are you here? Galio was so excited when he saw the visitor that he almost flew up. Now that his father is also present, the opportunity for revenge has naturally arrived. Haha, you 2 bastards, kneel down and kowtow a few times, and I will spare your life. Galio instantly returned to his original arrogant appearance. Xiao Yu was so angry that his face was livid, but under the pressure of the great fighting master, it's impossible to move even an inch. Not to mention wanting to slash with a sword. Shut up, you beast! Snapped. But what is surprising is this. Galabi's slap hit Galio hard on the face. Xiao Yu was completely stunned by this sudden change. Xian Chen stretched out his hand to hold Xiao Yu's right hand and said to the dark-faced Jialiabai, Chief Jiali, I told you that I didn't lie to you. You should believe it this time, right? The Strongest Husband of Dopo. Author, Hui Bai Xiong. Chapter 28. Boy, you don't have to be too proud. Now that Quanzi has been taught a lesson by me, do you think you are still satisfied? Galabai's face was very ugly, extremely ugly. If it weren't for his own face, he would really give this guy Xian Chen a lesson. Xiao Yu was slightly startled when he heard this, then his brows furrowed, and a look of surprise flashed across his beautiful eyes. Looking at the young man beside him, he never thought that Galabai, the leader of the clan, could choose to endure it. Etc. Xiao Yu looked down and noticed that the other party was actually holding her hand. With her cheeks blushing, she hurriedly let go and stepped aside. Haha, since it is the decision of the Jiali clan leader, of course I won't say anything else. It's just that I want to remind you that this son of yours has a bad mouth. You. Snapped. Only a black shadow flashed past, and then Xian Chen's raised hand fell hard on Galio's face. Galio was shocked on the spot. He didn't expect that Xian Chen would be so fast. The one who was shocked was also Galibi. He was a great fighting master, and he thought that his views on speed were much higher than those of his peers. But just when Xian Chen was beating Galio, he only felt a strong wind whistling by. This guy is scary. Galabai was shocked and his face was extremely ugly. Xian Chen looked at the shocked people in the audience, then walked to Xiao Yu's side as if nothing happened. Come on, senior sister, let's go home. Xian Chen stretched out his hand to hold Xiao Yu again, but this time Xiao Yu did not refuse. After returning to the family, Xiao Yu subconsciously let go. Are you also from the Xiao family? Why haven't I heard of someone like you? Xiao Yu's face was puzzled, but she noticed that the guards did not stop her, and she didn't know what to say. Xian Chen glanced at her sideways and said calmly, "I am a child brought back by my father, Xiao Buletin Butong. My senior sister has been away from school all year round, so it's natural that she doesn't know about me. Xiao is different. My father?" Xiao Yu was stunned for a moment, looking at the guy next to him. He felt bad. Although she is a junior, she has heard a little bit about Xiao Butong being the kind of romantic and suave person he was when he was young. The Xiao family's coming-of-age ceremony is about to begin. I think if senior sister comes back, she also wants to meet Xiao Yan. Xian Chen's casual words made Xiao Yu, who was originally confused, suddenly feel a dark fire surging in his heart. Noticed Xiao Yu's delicate body trembling slightly. Xian Chen's eyes fell on the other party's round and slender legs. He didn't know how these sexy legs felt to the touch. Xiao Yu noticed the change in Xian Chen's expression and frowned coldly. "Since you are a senior sister, you should know how to respect me. There is one more thing I must remind you, not to mention the word Xiao Yan in front of me." "Haha, whatever senior sister says is whatever it is." "But..." The corner of Suankin's mouth rose, and Xiao Yu, who was completely unprepared with an angry look on his face, suddenly came closer. In this situation where their eyes met, Xiao Yu's originally slightly angry face instantly turned crimson. "But... sister, you are so beautiful. Wow! The wind blows the fallen leaves?" The beautiful picture is presented again. Looking at Xian Chen's leaving figure, Xiao Yu was so stunned that he couldn't come back to his senses. "Call." My heart was pounding like a deer, and I couldn't calm down my inner uneasiness for a long time. This guy. "Sister, you are really back." Just when Xiao Yu was emotionally confused, a male voice suddenly broke into her world. Turning around and seeing a young man, Xiao Yu had a happy smile on her face. The young man's name is Xiaoning, and he is Xiao Yu's younger brother. Although Xiaoning looks quite handsome, judging from his pale face, he is almost the same as Galio. Xiaoning ran over quickly, wanting to throw herself into the arms of her sister with a perfect figure. "Stop. Xiaoning, do you know who that guy is?" Xiao Yu raised her hand to refuse, and Xiaoning, who was wailing, looked in the direction Xiao Yu pointed. It was a lonely silhouette. Although someone occasionally passed by him, he was among the crowd and seemed extremely lonely. He is the son of the fourth elder, and his name is Xian Chen. When he was first tested, he was an instant success, you know. Xiaoning chuckled, but his tone of voice was full of admiration. "Oh? Sister, remember, you rarely admire a person? What? Is this person your idol?" Xiao Yu said happily and put her hand on Xiaoning's shoulder. Under this close contact, a satisfied smile suddenly appeared on Xiaoning's face. "He is a 3-star fighter, but his age is about the same as mine," Xiaoning said softly with a warm smile on her face in Xiao Yu's arms. 3-star fighter? Almost the same age. Xiao Yu looked at Xian Chen again, but Xian Chen had disappeared from sight. Such a heaven-defying disciple could suddenly appear in the Xiao family. Thinking of the tasks assigned by the college, Xiao Yu suddenly had the idea of wanting to win over him. What about his relationship with Xiao Yan? Xiao Yu suddenly thought of something, and when she mentioned the word Xiao Yan, her expression changed slightly. The clan leader and the fourth elder have always had a good relationship, so you also know that their relationship should be good too. Xiao Ning was equally angry. Although he also has a strong background in the Xiao family. But compared to Xiao Yan, who has the identity of the young master of the Xiao family, he is still far behind. What's more, Xiao Ning's character is inherently perverted. Naturally, she is also very fond of Xiao Suner, who is the number one among the younger generation. What makes Xiao Ning extremely angry is that no matter how useless Xiao Yan is, Xiao Suner still likes him. But it's worth the day. Xian Chen appears. Xiao Suner has undergone earth-shaking changes towards Xiao Yan's changes. What's more, some people suspect that the reason why Xiao Suner listens to Xiao Yan's words is because Xiao Yan used some very vicious methods. Seemingly not paying attention to Xiao Ning's expression, Xiao Yu shook her head slightly and said softly, "Then this matter will be a bit difficult to handle." "It's difficult." "What's difficult?" Xiao Ning was confused by Xiao Yu's sudden words. Before he could react, Xiao Yu had already released her hand on his shoulder and walked away. Xian Chen, who was on the other side, was about to arrive at his small courtyard. A young girl ran out of the yard in a pretty way. The girl stood in front of Xian Chen, her delicate white hands clasped behind her back. She leaned forward slightly, her beautiful big eyes curved into beautiful crescent moons. There was a smile on her face, and there were dimples on her pretty little face, which made her look cute all of a sudden. "Sister Suner, why are you here?" Xian Chen did not expect that Xiao Suner would be in his yard. During this period of time, Xiao Suner often ran to her side every 3 days. This is not because Xian Chen really wants to cook rice in the Xiao family compound. He, of course I'm here to see you. What's wrong? Don't you welcome me? Sister Suner pursed her lips and chuckled. Looking at the playful Sister Suner, Xian Chen reached out and stroked her hair. Looking down slightly, he saw that the other party's exquisite curves were so beautiful under the tight skirt. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Strongest Husband of Dopo. Author, Hui Bai Xiong. Chapter 29. There are so many people here, aren't you afraid of others gossiping? Xian Chen said gently, but Xiao Suner stepped back angrily. He looked at Xian Chen with a hint of resentment. Brother Xian Chen, Suner is not afraid of being a girl. As a boy, can't you be more proactive? Xian Chen was startled. Xiao Suner, who looked like a young girl, had actually grown up in her heart. If he continues to treat Xiao Suner like a minor, Xian Chen firmly believes that one day, Xiao Suner will choose to leave because of his ignorance. He. Xian Chen smiled faintly and reached out to hold his princess in his arms. Close the door with your feet. Xiao Suner's beautiful eyes seemed to be twinkling. Inside the room, Xiao Suner looked at Xian Chen with a shy expression. She remained silent, finally ending her short life as a girl today. Sister Suner, you are so beautiful. Under this subtle feeling, it makes the already dry air appear extremely hot. He put his hand on Sister Suner's shoulders and helped her take off her clothes. Gilu. Xian Chen didn't dare to move his eyes until he took off his shirt. Xiao Suner instantly threw herself into Xian Chen's arms. Don't want. Brother Xian Chen, give Suner a little more time. Xiao Suner's breathing was a little rapid. Xiao Suner hurriedly put on her upper body, feeling hot all over her body, and then left under Xian Chen's confused look. Xiao Suner's departure made Xian Chen want to laugh. But after all, Xiao Suner is still young and can't do anything too outrageous yet. Otherwise, it would really be worse than an animal. Not long after, Xian Chen was sitting in a rocking chair basking in the sun. Hey, this is your home? As expected of the fourth elder's son. This area can be said to be a good place for the Xiao family to focus on cultivating disciples. This clear throat. Xian Chen took off the lotus leaves covering his eyes. He frowned and looked at Xiao Yu, asking, is something wrong? Senior sister. Oh, it's nothing, I just stopped by to see how you were doing. Xiao Yu's face turned red, making her already delicate face even more attractive. Then you finished reading, can you leave? Xian Chen replied coldly and covered his face with lotus leaves again. Xiao Yu stood speechless under the sun. Although she, Xiao Yu, is not as beautiful as Yafei, but in terms of figure, she is on par with Yafei. and now she was standing in front of Xian Chen. With such a good opportunity, how could a man only think about sleeping? Are you a pig? Junior brother? Why don't we go for a walk in the back mountain? Xiao Yu invited Xian Chen to go sightseeing in the back mountains, thinking that Xian Chen would definitely agree to the beauty's invitation. As a result, Xian Chen turned his body to the side, obviously not intending to pay attention to the other party. Okay, you are awesome. Xiao Yu left angrily and took away the lotus leaf slightly. Suinkan's eyes fell on Xiao Yu's back. Looking at her sexy and round long legs, she is really the best in the world. After a few days, all the younger generations of the Xiao family finally ushered in the adult ceremony. On this day of great importance, it can be said that all members of the Xiao family, both near and far, were recalled the day before. Under one tree, Xian Chen leaned on the giant tree, holding a piece of grass in his mouth. He looked at the arenas built by the giant trees that were still being repaired, with a trace of disdain in his eyes. Although these giant trees belong to those very strong beings. But Xian Chen can guarantee it. As long as he comes on stage, it won't last for a second. This arena will explode on the spot. Xiao Suner stood next to Xian Chen. Qiu Shui's eyes swept over the other person's body, and found a trace of surprise. Brother Xian Chen. Are you dating another girl again? Xiao Suner's cold voice made Xian Chen's body tremble. When he saw her stretching out her jade hand, she actually held a black hair. Xian Chen's entire face darkened. Look, is it the same as yours? You little girl, why don't you believe me? Xian Chen explained helplessly that she had been woken up by Xiao Suner since early in the morning. Along the way, the adult ceremony was explained, how important it is for every Xiao family disciple. He, I see you are so bored, I am teasing you. Sister Suner showed a sweet smile before she had time to react. A voluptuous woman in a red dress happened to be smiling and chatting with someone, and she came towards the side. That person was concubine Ya from the Mitre auction house. Although she didn't know that the Xiao family had used a method to invite the other party over, it was no longer important now. Although Ya Fei is wearing a red dress, her perfect figure is plump and exquisite under the red dress. This looming picture has stirred up so many ignorant teenagers. Xian Chen glanced casually at the waist that looked like a water snake, and sighed in his heart, this woman really dares to wear it. Just when Xian Chen's eyes rested on Ya Fei, a low hum from the girl suddenly came from beside him. Ahem, don't worry, Sister Suner. Although that woman is indeed good, Brother Xian Chen knows that he is far from her. So don't worry, I won't mess with others casually. Xian Chen explained awkwardly, but Xiao Suner was really angry. She ignored Xian Chen's explanation and left to find her little sisters in the Xiao family. Ya Fei had already noticed Xian Chen, but it was only because of the Xiao family elders around her. That's why I didn't come over. Now the Xiao family had something to deal with, so they walked briskly to Xian Chen. Due to this sudden situation, the teenagers who had been paying attention to Ya Fei started to cry out. What is the origin of this boy? How can he be allowed to meet Miss Ya Fei in person? What kid? This is Xian Chen, an elite disciple of our Xiao family. Don't think that because your family has a good relationship with our Xiao family, you can comment casually. That's right. Didn't your CAI family rely on our Xiao family to obtain trading authority in Wuyuan City? Those Xiao family disciples protected themselves. Nowadays, Xian Chen is already the eldest brother of the Xiao family, so of course they will be willing to help Xian Chen resolve anything that happens to him. I, Cai-kun, am also the young master of the Cai family. If I had known that you two were so virtuous, I wouldn't have taught you how to play. Cai-kun said angrily, but those Xiao family disciples ignored him at all. Why are you here? Xian Chen looked at Ya Fei, who was dressed haughtily, and asked softly. I didn't want to come at first. Didn't I hear that you will also participate in the coming-of-age ceremony today? Yafei raised her red little mouth and said with a half-smile. I didn't want to participate originally, but you also know that my father insisted on letting me participate. How could Xianchen dare to look directly at Yafei's burning gaze? If he dares to meet Yafei's eyes at this time, Xianchen can definitely guarantee that he will definitely attract a large number of girls to surround him. The Strongest Husband of Dopo. Author, Hui Bai Xiong. Chapter 30. The prelude to the coming-of-age ceremony must be the beginning of a new test. This is also a preparation to ensure that those who try to challenge will give up completely. Watching the young and energetic disciples take the test again. Xiao Mei. Fighting Qi, 8th level, advanced level, the tester announced in a deep voice. There was a commotion in the training ground, and envious eyes were directed at Xiao Mei. After passing Xiao Mei's test results, only one of the following disciples barely reached the 7th level. Following the ignorance of these disciples, the tester also looked a little impatient. But fortunately, the finale is behind us. As the tester announced that Sister Suner was on the stage, everyone's eyes moved with the sound. Suddenly he shifted to the cute girl. Looking at the girl walking slowly. There was some silence on the training ground. A pair of blazing eyes stared at the girl firmly without blinking. Is this girl making progress? Xianchen was slightly confused. Even though Yafei was standing beside him at the moment, what he was paying attention to was still Xiao Suner. Xiao Suner stood in front of the test monument, her face turned back. After finding Xianchen's figure, a proud smile appeared on her pretty face. This look back and a smile made all the young disciples present cheer. Even the senior elders stopped talking. After all, Xiao Suner's identity is really special in the Xiao family. I saw her jade hands gently touching the cold black stone tablet. Along with the fighting spirit in the body, it surged rapidly, and then, after a moment of silence, the black stone tablet suddenly emitted a bright light. 1 star for fighter. Congratulations to Miss Suner, the tester said excitedly. Sister Suner replied with a smile, and then walked down the wooden platform under the admiring eyes of those young talents. Sister Suner has become a fighter, why is she so strong? Xiao Yan, who was standing in the crowd, also looked at her with admiration. Although he wanted to congratulate Xiao Suner, he was very clear at the moment that there was a distance between him and the current Xiao Suner. Xiao Yan. Let's go on stage and test. The tester looked at the list in his hand and couldn't figure out how the family's senior management decided to include Xiao Yan in the finale. But he was just a humble tester. There was no room for him to speak here, so he had no choice but to call out to the sea of people. This loser actually has the nerve to test. If I were him, I would find a place to hide. Hey, why are you hiding it? You might even make a fortune by raising pigs. Xiao Yan seems to have made progress. Yafei, who was standing next to Xianchen, looked at Xiao Yan with her beautiful eyes as if she saw something. His father is the head of the Xiao family, so he naturally has channels to buy the panacea for Xiao Yan. There's no need to be surprised. Xianchen's cheerful explanation also indirectly helped Xiao Yan to cover up. Clan leader, although I can't believe it, are you really sure that this kid has resumed his practice? At the high-level VIP table, an old elder sitting on Xiao Zhan's left hand frowned and asked. Xiao Zhan felt like spring breeze. To be honest, if Xiao Yan hadn't come to him to show off his strength last night, he wouldn't have believed it. The elder on the left did not reply, his eyes were always on Xiao Yan. This kind smile from his old father made Xiao Yan feel warm in his heart. Seeing him raising his hand and pressing it on the test monument, the tester couldn't bear to look and closed his eyes. Wow! The wind roared, and those who mocked Xiao Yan also remained silent after the test results. Elder, can you make an announcement? Xiao Yan's voice reached the tester's ears. The tester opened his eyes, slightly confused, but when his eyes fell on the shining test results, he shook his body and shouted loudly, "Third young master! Fighting Chi, 7th stage." Click. On the high platform, the teacup in Xiao Zhan's hand was crushed into powder by his excited palms. The tea was mixed with powder and dripped down the palm, with a little blood. Congratulations to Patriarch Xiao. Congratulations to Patriarch Xiao. Xiao Yan has resumed his cultivation. It seems that God is blessing the Xiao family. Ha ha ha. This kid has finally resumed his cultivation. Not bad. He is worthy of being a descendant of our Xiao family. Congratulations to the clan leader, Xiao Yan is able to practice again. It seems that his efforts over the past few years have not been in vain. Xiao Butong is also congratulating. After all, his relationship with Xiao Zhan is indeed good. Xiao Zhan felt like a spring breeze and was extremely satisfied with these compliments. But Xiao Zhan glanced at everyone present and finally saw Xian Chen's figure under a tree. Fourth brother, Xian Chen is not bad, why not let him test it again? Xiao Zhan suddenly spoke, making Xiao Butong stunned. Although Xiao Butong really wanted Xian Chen to test it again, if that happened, he would obviously steal Xiao Yan's limelight. Xiao Butong, who strongly refused, had no choice but to accept Xiao Zhan's identity. Xiao Zhan stood up, looked at Zheng Huan where Xian Chen was chatting with Yafei, and called with a spring breeze on his face, "Xian Chen, today is an important day. As an elite of the Xiao family, you should set an example for your brothers. How can you just think about talking to Miss Yafei? Wow. It's okay if he doesn't shout, but when he shouts Xian Chen becomes the center of attention instantly." Those young disciples who were still silent in shock all looked at Xian Chen behind them. Seeing that there was almost no distance between Yafei and Xian Chen, everyone dared to be angry but dared not speak. This guy, Xiao Suner, was so angry that she wanted to go over and find trouble with Xian Chen, but she was held back by the sisters beside her. "Does junior brother know Miss Yafei too?" Xiao Yu also looked confused. Seeing Yafei talking and laughing with Xian Chen, and remembering that day when she went to look for Xian Chen, but the result was that the other party ignored her, a hint of jealousy arose in her heart. Scumbag. Xiao Meyer also complained in her heart, but quickly looked away. Haha, it seems that Master Ling's backyard is on fire, then the slave family will run away first. Yafei gloated and whispered the truth into Suanken's ear. This subtle movement lit a fire in the hearts of more young disciples. "I accept." Xian Chen Feng Qingyun Dan, under the eyes of everyone with hatred, silently walked to the test platform made of giant wood. When he glanced at the VIP table, a sinister smile appeared on his face. Not good, Xiao Zhan had been paying attention to Xian Chen. At this moment, he noticed that Xian Chen showed such a smile, and a bad feeling suddenly appeared in his heart. The other elders were also puzzled. How could a young boy show such a face? Could this kid be? Xiao Butong took a deep breath. He was in a daze and couldn't believe this was true. "Master Xian Chen, please start." Since Xian Chen is the chief elite disciple of the Xiao family currently, the humble tester is naturally very respectful to Suanken's expression. Bang! Xian Chen raised his hand and pressed it on the test demon tablet. Immediately afterwards, the test demon tablet exploded as usual. But the most shocking thing is that even the position where Xian Chen stands is cracked. It seems like the next second it will collapse. Please vote for favorites.